Hello everybody. In this video, among other things, we're going to discuss the National Visa Center NVC monthly visa backlog report for the month of June. We're also going to share some new information that we just learned from a senior official at the State Department as to the plan of reopening embassies and consulates worldwide, and more specific information as to how they're going to be prioritizing visas in the next few months. We also have some very bad news for people applying for tourist visas in the next few months. And finally, we're going to discuss NVC processing times for this month, so you know exactly which cases they are working and what to expect next. So what are you waiting for? I'll see you on the other side. Hello everybody, and welcome back to our immigration channel. This is a place where you get the most up-to-date immigration news, immigration information, and everything else that you need to make your immigration journey less stressful. My name is Jacob Sapochnick, and I'm an immigration attorney located in San Diego, California, and I help clients in all 50 states and all over the world. Let's start with discussing the National Visa Center most recent visa backlog report. As you know, since the pandemic started last year, embassies and consulates were significantly impacted worldwide with visa processing and how they're able to help applicants secure their visas. On February 2nd, 2021, President Biden issued an executive order restoring faith in our immigration system. And all the activities that happened since then are geared towards that effort to try to streamline our visa process and make things even better. But despite the executive order, embassies and consulates are still not able to resume regular visa processing. They're still refusing to issue visas in cases where they are able to do so, and therefore so many lawsuits have been filed and currently pending, trying to force the government to do what they're supposed to do and start issuing visas. At the same time, the National Visa Center, which essentially is a buffer agency between the USCIS, the Immigration Service, that is in charge of approving the immigrant petitions, the I-130s for family petitions, the I-140s for immigrant petitions. This agency is in charge of processing the applications as they are moving towards the U.S. Embassy for final adjudication. Their job is to collect the information, to get the DS-260 forms uploaded, to collect your financial information if you need to provide financial support for your immigrants. They do all that, and eventually they declare your case as documentary qualified. Well, let's look at this chart and see what's happening right now at the National Visa Center. So according to this report, the number of immigrant visa applicants whose cases are now documentary qualified at the National Visa Center and are ready for an interview as of May 31st stands at 536,541 cases, more than 500,000 cases. The number of documentary complete immigrant visa applicants scheduled for June 2021 interview appointments is set at 30,320. Out of those 500,000, only 30,000 are now being scheduled for interviews. And finally, the number of eligible immigrant visa applicants still pending scheduled an interview after June 2021 appointment scheduling was complete is set at 506,221. In the way of comparison, in fiscal year 2019, only 60,000 applicants was still pending for the whole year at the NVC to be scheduled for appointments. Now, it tells you that this backlog is so severe that it's going to take a long time for the National Visa Center to be able to clear that backlog. Now remember, and I mentioned that in previous videos, the reason we have this backlog is because right now the National Visa Center is essentially like a warehouse. They are holding those documentary qualified cases and they're waiting for embassies and consulates to open interview slots, so they're going to be able to send them those cases. It's not like the NVC does not want to do so. They're not able to do it because embassies are not able to open enough interview slots for them to send those cases. And that's why litigation is starting to push those consulates and embassies to say, you can do it right now. Your consular officers are all fully vaccinated. Facilities are big enough to host applicants in the respective countries. You need to step up the game and start conducting those interviews. And you need to do so now. So this is the most recent up-to-date information with respect to what's happening in NVC. And if you stick to the end of this video, I'm going to be covering the actual processing times at NVC as to what cases they are working on right now. So make sure you stick to the end so you don't miss this segment. Now let's move on to what's actually happening at the State Department and some predictions for the next few months. And this is based on a conversation that Don Haffin, a senior consular officer at the US Embassy in Mumbai, had to share at a recent town hall meeting, and this is going to be applicable to what's going to happen to many other embassies and consulate around the world. What is most concerning is some bad news for tourist visas. Based on what he said, it doesn't look like tourist visas are going to get any priority all the way through the end of the year. It's going to be very, very difficult for new first-time tourist visa applicants to get appointments or get any visas issued before the end of 2021. Let's hear more from what Don Haffin had to say.
We intend to start an intensive 2 months of interviewing student visa applicants July the 1st. We are committed to interviewing as many students as we did in the summer of 2019, the last normal year. On Monday, June the 14th, we will open tens of thousands of student visa appointments around the country for July and August. We hope to open more later. In addition to student visa appointments, we hope to begin opening appointments at our visa application centers for those applicants who are eligible for interview waiver or Dropbox processing. Another priority group of visa holders and applicants is the H-1Bs, H-4s, and J-1s. In addition to students, our priorities this summer will be focused on applicants for those visa categories who are traveling to the U.S. to support specific fields such as medicine and research. We recognize your important contributions and understand many of you have families and jobs in the U.S. that you need to get back to as soon as possible. Please know we are doing our best to accommodate your request for visa appointments and national interest exceptions. Each NIE request is carefully considered by a consular officer as quickly as possible, and you'll be notified as soon as the decision has been made. Unfortunately, the presidential proclamation is clear about applicants for B1, B2 tourist and business visitor visas. Very, very few of these visas will be issued or receive an approved national interest exception.
So as Don said, it looks like immigrant visa petitions are going to get priority based on the new priority schedule of the State Department. Then they're going to give visas preference to students as well. They're going to be able to give them appointments for students that are coming back to the United States to finish their education. H-1B and other work visas are going to be able to get appointments under the national interest exceptions. They should be able to get national interest exception fairly easy. But the bad news are for tourist visa applications, specifically the ones that are applying for the first time, they're not going to be a priority at all, and it's going to be very difficult for people to get and qualify for tourist visas all the way through the end of this year, which is not very promising for a lot of people that want to join family members, join family events. All that is not going to be possible in fiscal year 2021. So, in our final segment, let's talk about NVC processing time. Now remember, cases are arriving to the NVC after they have done processing at the USCIS. And they have a certain process that they follow. And I'm going to show it to you in a second on the screen when we pull it from the NVC website. Remember, as I mentioned before, the NVC is kind of like a middleman. It facilitates the process between what happens at the USCIS after it's been approved and before the US Embassy can see the applicant and adjudicate their cases. And therefore, right now, because NVC is not able to send all these cases to the embassies because they're not accepting them, it is important to understand what cases they're working on right now and how this process is actually taking place. So the first category that you see on the NVC processing times is the current case file creation time. As of June 28, 2021, when we record this video, they're working on cases that were received from USCIS on June 22nd, 2021. So remember what happens is that once USCIS approves your I-131 or any other petition, they're going to send you an approval form 797. At the NVC, they're going to create your file and enter all your information into their system. What's going to happen next is the following. After NVC will create your case, they're going to send you further instructions for processing your case. They're also going to send you a welcome letter that includes your case number and an invoice ID. You're going to use this information to log into the Consular Electronic Application Center. Make sure you keep the welcome notice safe and available at all times because without this, you're not going to be able to log in and update your case. The second category that you see on the NVC processing website is the current case review time. What does that mean? So these are the actual cases that NVC is able to review right now. Now, before NVC can review your case, you have to finish all the requirements. That means the following: pay all the required fees as indicated on the NVC website. Submit all the required documents, including supporting documents for the affidavit of support, financial documents, the petitioner documents for the affidavit of support, a complete Form DS-260 submitted by the applicant, and all the civil documents that the applicant needs to provide to the NVC to complete processing of the case. Unless you have all this completed, NVC is not going to be able to review your case and you're not going to be considered at this stage. The current case review time is as following. As of June 28, 2021, NVC is reviewing cases that have all the supporting documents correct, submitted on May 27, 2021. This is the current case review time, May 27, 2021. And the final category on the processing time of NVC is the current public inquiry response time. As of June 28, 2021, NVC is responding to inquiries submitted on June 7, 2021. Now remember, make sure that when you do inquire with NVC, you do it correctly. Use the electronic inquiry form because the NVC is already overwhelmed with applications and cases. You want to make sure you inquire only when it's necessary. Remember, my recommendation is to only inquire with NVC if your case is outside of the normal processing time. So if it's outside the processing time that I just mentioned in this video, then it's recommended to call them or to submit an online form so you can check on the status of your case only if it's outside of normal processing time. Don't do that unless it's really necessary. So hopefully the information in this video was helpful. As always, if you're here for the first time, do not forget to subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos, and also give us a big like so YouTube can share this video with more people just like you. If you need direct help with your case, if your case is stuck, you need to expedite your case, if you need help to navigate the NVC State Department backlog system, you text me right here, 619-483-4549. Let's set up a consultation and help you with your individual case. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.